This is Diana Sullivan in Austin, Texas. This Ultimate Sweater Machine project is a little house slipper. It's made from worsted yarn, so it's really too heavy for a sock, but they're a nice slipper, especially if you want to keep your feet warm in bed or just want to walk around on cold floors with a little something. These will be slippery if you're going to walk on them, so in that case you will need to put a non-stick bottom on. One of the ways to do that is to apply some swirls of puff paint, or sometimes I use silicone seal for that purpose. To make the slipper, you're going to need worsted weight yarn, and a pair of slippers is going to run under 100 grams. It takes very little yarn. I'm using a worsted weight yarn called Impeccable Worsted, and I have two colors that I used. But small amounts of whatever leftover yarn will work for this nice little gift project. Here's my cast on. 37 needles, key plate 2. I have the cast on cuff, then the elastic, then a number of rows of waste yarn, and then a row of ravel cord. Now I'm going to bring the needles, all of them, out to hold position, and using my solid color I'm going to do a double E-wrap cast on. This cast on makes a nice edge. I'll start by taking the yarn and winding it around the first needle like an E-wrap. Then I go under the second needle, come back over the first needle and just knit that through. Go under the third, back over the second, knit that through. And I'll work my way across. Once my double E-wrap cast on is done, I just do 12 rows of knitting with key plate number 2. Because I'm making a solid colored cuff, that finishes off the solid color for me, so I can go ahead and cut the yarn. And now I'm going to drop every second needle and do a latched knit 1, purl 1 ribbing. So I bring out every other needle, and then I'll use one of my cards and push them back. And the knitting pops off the ends. Then I ravel it down a little bit carefully, because what I want to do is not go all the way down to the bottom. I want to stop just above the cast on and then latch up. And I have found that if I hold the cast on edge between my index and thumb, that I can keep it from unraveling any further, and then I just catch it on my latch tool and latch on up. Now I've shown these steps on other videos, so what I'm going to do is have this whole ribbing latched up off camera and then come back and show how to do the next steps in this slipper. Having latched up my ribbing, removed all the cast on pieces and put some claw weights on, I have put about half the needles, that is 19 of them, into hold on the left hand side of the work. I'm going to take the other 18 needles off with waste yarn. So the needles that are in hold won't knit. All I have to do is thread the carriage and knit across the ones that are in working position. And then I'm going to find it helpful to put a claw weight right here under the first one that has some waste yarn on it. Use a color that gives you a good contrast. And put 7 or 8 rows in. When my waist knitting is done, I just take it off the needles, curl it out of the way. Doesn't really need a claw weight on it anymore. And then I have to remember to take the needles out of work so that they won't give me problems as I begin the slipper. I'm still on key plate 2. I have threaded up with variegated yarn, and I have put these needles in forward working position. I need to make sure that all of these needles are actually open so that my yarn will feed. And sure enough, one of them was closed. And then I knit across, At this point I'm going to do 8 rows with the variegated yarn before I do something different. It's time to short row shape a heel, but I have found short row shaping on the Ultimate Sweater machine very problematic, so I had to come up with some sort of a workaround. What you typically do to short row shape a heel is you bring one needle into hold on the carriage side, knit across, and then bring the next needle into hold. But what I found with the Ultimate Sweater machine was that as it draws this yarn over and continues to knit, the yarn was too high and it wouldn't knit through, and it tended to drop the second stitch. So my workaround for it is to bring 2 needles into hold, hand knit the second stitch through, and then bring it back out to hold. Now the way that's hand knitted through holds the yarn down, and it'll be down low enough to knit the rest of the stitches in the row without any difficulty. Once I get across the row, I bring this back into forward working position. That way I effectively only put 1 needle in hold at the beginning of the row. Now on the other side of the knitting, I need to do the same procedure. I bring 2 out instead of 1. I hand knit the second stitch back and then bring it out again with the yarn just dangled over the top, and I knit across. Once I've knitted across, I have to take that second needle back into forward working position because I really only want to end up with 1 stitch brought into hold at the beginning of every row, even though I have to do 2 and fiddle with the second one. That's what I want in effect, is just to get 1 on each row. You will find that this goes much better if you keep moving the weights. I'm just widening the shot a little bit, and I'll keep doing the same procedure. Bring out 2, knit through the second one, bring it out again, and then drape the yarn over the top, and then knit across. If the needles go a little high, you can poke them down with your finger so that they'll clear. Do the same thing on the opposite side. Now this one has to go back so that it'll knit. Knit the second, bring it out, drape the yarn across the top, and knit across. It's definitely more trouble than short rowing with other machines, but I was happy to be able to do a short rowed heel and toe with this machine by using this method. I tried a lot of other methods, including the ravel cord method and pushing down on the nose and various things, but this one seemed like it was pretty much foolproof. Now I'm going to continue to do this until I only have 8 stitches in work in the middle of the work. I have to keep moving my weights as I go up and to the center. I want to keep weight on the stitches that are knitting, not on these stitches that are held. Continue this until I have 8 stitches left in work, and that would be counting the one that I'm hand knitting. So at this point that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is my last row of short row decreasing, and then I'm going to fix my weight. What I want to do is get 2 claw weights really close up here under the portion of the knitting that is actually knitting, and then knit back. Now to increase is very simple. I just push 1 needle into forward working position opposite the carriage, and then I knit across.